how do you break up the performance of a webinar and identify, you know, whether something is working, whether something is not working? I get this a lot. A lot of people will come to me and they're saying, oh, my ad isn't working, when in reality, they're not looking at the math of the business. They're not looking at the data, and everything is great except the offer sucks. But they're focusing on the ad. They're thinking, oh, my ad isn't working. My ad isn't working. When in reality, everything is working all the way down until the point that you drop the link, in this case, in a webinar, and then everything falls apart. And, you know, I'm wondering how you think about the performance of a webinar. So if you've got guys and they're turning up for the webinar, but, you know, like, how do you break down the components of a webinar from that point forward and figure out what needs to be fixed and what needs to be optimized?
Sure. So, I mean, obviously the answer is sales, right? If I know, so my first step is, if it's not working, I want to find why isn't it working. So is it, like you just said, is it the ad, is it the webinar? There's only really three things it can be. Your creative, your I guess your creative or your landing page. I kind of look at them as a pair, right? Because they should have the same messaging, ideally. So either your creative / landing page, your webinar, or your creative / landing page or webinar, or your traffic. That's the other thing it can be. You could be sending some rubbish traffic. And another advantage that we have, because our volume's so high, is we are able to optimize on a 2K sale, which most people can't do, right? You need to do a lot of sales to optimize on that. So most people will be optimizing on lead. That's why our lead cost is so high, by the way. You know, I talked about a $70 lead. It's because we're optimizing on purchase. If we optimize on lead, our lead cost would be like 1/6 of the amount, but we would convert 1/8 of the amount. Like, the traffic is just that much better. I got off topic. So step one is identify the problem. Is it creative? Is it audience? Is it webinar? And the way that we're doing that, so are we getting a decent click-through rate? That's how you know if it's creative or not. No, we're not getting a decent click-through rate. You probably got a creative problem. We're getting a decent click-through rate. Are we getting a decent show-up rate? That gives us an idea of whether the audience is a quality audience. We're getting a decent show-up rate. We're not closing sales. Then the problem is probably the webinar. So how do you find what the problem is in the webinar? Honestly, it's very hard. I know a lot of people will be like, oh, I'm looking at the times that they're dropping off and all that sort of stuff. I don't find that super useful, because let's say they're dropping off at the 30-minute. Well, they're always going to be dropping off along the way anyway, right? But let's say a few more people were dropping off between 30 and 35 minutes than anywhere else. Well, that doesn't mean there was a problem at the 30-minute mark. That just means you bored them up until the 30-minute mark. They finally had enough at that point, right? But typically in the webinars I'm running, I'm not like swearing at them or abusing them or really offending them at a certain point. So really it's just a case of, oh, damn, my webinar's not working. I just need to go back, watch it again. What did I do wrong? What can I do better? And just have another crack. And I've had the biggest, we've just launched a product recently. And exactly this happened, right? We sort of had iteration one. All of this happened. The webinar just wasn't converting as well as I thought it would. So I came back, I've got a way I could do this better. I did version 2 and it got a whole bunch better, but not good enough. I've got an idea to do it better. But it's really just me looking at it, watching it and going, what can I do better? And I'm on version 5 now, although 4 never made the light of day. I recorded 4 and then went, actually, I want to do it this way. So, but yeah, it's converting well now. We're spending on that one $25K a day, and we're on the way up, so it's going well.
Sweet. So many guys ask me as well about like the targeting on Facebook. You know, there's interest audiences, there's broad targeting, there's countries, there's lookalike audiences. How do you guys go about your targeting at kind of the levels that you guys are operating on? Where do you start at some place and kind of scale into somewhere else? Like what is your targeting strategies?
Yeah, it's really just a lot of throw all the mud at the wall and see what sticks. Honestly. Yeah. I think, but it's worth mentioning too, I talked about this before, I think targeting is almost less important than what you're optimizing on. So I'll just explain in case anyone listening doesn't understand how the optimization works. So you can say to Facebook, send me more people like these. right? So obviously, if you want Facebook to send you anyone, you want them to send you more like your buyers. But what happens is Facebook looks at all of the data you're sending them and goes, okay, I'll do my best to send people just like that. Now, the more data you send them, the more accurate they can be. So if you will say, if you give Facebook all your leads and say, send me more people like these, the leads, and you're doing 1,000 leads a day, Facebook's going, oh, wow, I've got thousands and thousands of people to look at. I know exactly the sort of people that you're after. And Facebook will look at a million different data points, age and gender and the pages they've liked and who knows what else. So they've got so much data on every single person. They'll look at the set that you gave them, the leads, and they'll go, I know exactly the sort of people that are going to sign up for what you're talking about. That one, I'll send you those. And that's why you're able to, when you're optimizing on lead, you'll get really cheap leads because that's what you're optimizing for. The ideal is to optimize on sales because then they're like, I know exactly the sort of people you're talking about. You want people like this, this, and this, and they send you those. Now, they're more expensive because they're higher quality leads. So like I said, we'll pay easily 5 times more money for those leads than we will for the optimize on leads, but they convert so much better. But for most people, if let's say you're doing 10 sales a week, it's not enough data for Facebook to be able to look at it and go, oh, I know just what you're talking about because I've only got 10 sales. It's like just not enough data for them. So ideally what you want to do, you want to optimize towards whatever your funnel looks like. You want to go as far to the sales side as you can while still, it's kind of a balancing act. So as far to the sales side as you can while still sending them a decent amount of data. And that's going to be different for everyone depending on your spend and all that sort of stuff. So it might be lead's got to be kind of the minimum. It might be show up to the webinar, like optimize based on webinar show up. It might be based on the people that clicked the buy button because only about 10% of them buy anyway, right? So that's still 10 times more data than if you're going to the purchase. So as far to the buy side as you can while it's still enough data. And enough data is you're probably looking at about a couple hundred conversions a week is probably about the sweet spot, I'd say.
Yeah. So as an example, you guys, you would create like, you would be passing the data back to Facebook. You would be creating a lookalike audience around, say, everybody that clicks the order link and visits the order form. And you're passing that data back and you're looking to build a lookalike audience around those guys.
So we do lookalike audiences, but optimizing on is different to lookalike. Yeah. So yeah, we do lookalikes. We do a lot of really broad. I mean, you're spending $100,000 a day. You can't just do lookalikes. You need some really broad stuff, like people that like entrepreneurship and whatever.
So what you're saying is you're setting the conversion event to be order form clicks as an example.
Well, for us, it's purchase.
Yeah. For you guys at your level, it's purchase. But if someone is starting out for like the first time, maybe with a webinar or maybe with a video sale.
Starting out, you do lead. So registration would be the event that you're optimizing on. And then if you're spending a bit more money and you're starting to scale, then you might want to say optimize on people that show up, for example.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. We are kind of like you. We would have, thousands. The way that we start is we would take our buyers. We do a lookalike audience from our buyers. We usually start off there, and then we kind of progress, from that point forward. But I like that. Yeah, I like the way that you're talking about doing it there. I would never. That's interesting. That's class.
So if you enjoyed this clip and you'd like to benefit from more monetization secrets, go and register now for Monetization Daily. You can go to monetizationresearch.com to get it. It is a free newsletter that is absolutely awesome. It is delivered to your email inbox and it contains lots of great monetization tips, tactics, and strategies that you will love. Again, head on over to monetizationresearch.com to get it now.